Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
All right, great to have you with us on the show today. It is Halloween. Jerry Valeri showed up as himself and scared the living daylights out of people.
Ugh.
What?
Jeez. Starting off hot, Steve. Can't even give the man like 2 minutes.
Well, I'm not the suck up you are.
All right. I know.
You have to be in staff meetings. I don't.
Well, what's the biggest story in sports today? I personally think it was.
Well, for me, the biggest story, at least right now, is the confirmation that Zen Michalski's out of the game.
Yes.
On Saturday, and so I don't know what they're going to do. Nobody knows. I'll have to watch the warm-ups to figure out what they want to do. I mean, do they want to take Jackson and move him over and put Montgomery at guard, or do you want to take Fryer?
Yeah.
And flip him back to left tackle, which is where he was last year, and use the backup tackle on the right side. I don't know.
This offensive line is question marked across the board now because the fact that Josh Simmons, of course, the really
he's out
heck
for the year.
Of a player,
good player,
is out for the year.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, as you said, Zen Michalski is now also out for this game, which now means you're down your two players who played in this position, as we discussed on Tuesday's show. You usually, on your offensive line, in college at least, will play the best players. You may not play them in the right position. You might play them just because they're the best guys you've got, and you retrofit around it. And that's probably what it's going to have to be for Ohio State. And I guess my first point is, what do you think the message is going to be to the D-line for Penn State, knowing that Simmons is already out, Michalski's out, if you're Abdul Carter, if you're Denai Dennis Sutton, especially off the edges, what does this do for your game?
What does it do?
Because you've got Smith-Vilmert, Vanover. Does it give you like I want to go at them? Are they going to try and hunt now?
No, I think you just keep doing what you do. I mean, you don't sit there and overload. Here we come. We're coming over here, and then you leave something else over here open. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You've got between Smith-Vilmert, Amin Vanover, and Abdul Carter at minimum that can attack from either side, right? Now, the question's going to be, what will Ohio State do? Will they do a little more quick game? And here's the other issue. In a loud stadium, what are the two most vulnerable spots to false starts? The left tackle and the right tackle.
We saw it like when Illinois was here in town. Of course, that game was the whiteout energy game,
right,
as Franklin called it. That was loud. They had multiple false starts in the offensive line.
Right.
And now you got to wonder, what is someone coming in for Ohio State?
Right. But again, the tackles for Illinois were experienced. Fryer's been around, so that's not. I mean, So Fryer's not the issue. But you may have somebody over there that's not used to being out there in this.
Yeah.
Where even if they're not false starting, they may be hesitating a bit to make sure they don't false start, and thus you get the jump on them.
If you're Abdul Carter and you get a half step on somebody, he's already quicker than most tackles are. He's already going to beat you around the edge most of the time. If he gets a half step lead, a head start, oh my God.
Right.
Do you think...
So again, but don't jump. Don't jump. There's no need to jump. Just play. Now, conversely, right, remember, too, the Penn State offensively doesn't have to deal with the noise issue. The only noise issue they have to deal with is everybody getting excited over a big play. Okay? So they don't have to deal with it. But at the same time, they're going to have to do a good job on their end. You've got quality defensive ends on both sides of the field here. And that's what I think is so impressive about this, is the amount of NFL talent that you're going to see on this field on both sides. Right? I'll leave somebody out along the way if I start doing a list. But I think if I had to pick an area where, compared to past matchups, where Penn State has improved and now can handle things better, it's the defensive tackle spot. Durant, Thomas, Izzard, Beeman, Ford, right? They can now handle the middle of the line better than maybe some past defensive tackle combinations Penn State's had. Experience, quality of play. Thomas is playing at a high level. Durant's played at an incredibly high level all year.
Mind right now.
Izzard has played at a high level. Ford's coming off his best game.
Oh my God! Like
right? And Beeman's played well.
You are sitting there with multiple rotations worth of interior defensive linemen who are all going to push the pocket.
Right.
And if you are Abdul Carter, I don't think some fans fully understand exactly what it does when you have a guy like, let's say it's Durant and Beeman in for a play, and they're pushing the pocket. Will Howard has to drop back further than he wants to. What does that do for Dennis Sutton? What does it do for Abdul Carter? When all of a sudden Howard can't step up in the pocket.
Well, it's the step up in the pocket because they don't like that pressure in their face. But does it then cause them to do quick game? Not drop as deep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Chip Kelly and Ryan Day want to play it. It's going to be up to them. You're going to have to do a good job in those three wideouts. Those three wideouts
they're a threat.
They're the USC, without question, had the four best wideouts in combination I've seen this season. This group's better.
Yeah, this is
they're better.
One of the top groups in the nation for a reason.
So
it's going to be interesting to see what goes down in this matchup. But of course, as you mentioned, Mikulski is out for Penn State. The reports and the feeling, and we're not going to again know till game time on Saturday. It looks like Drew Aller is going to be playing based on what we can kind of see in the public. I'm not going to ask you about it, but that's just kind of where this is leading to, is Aller is going to play. I don't have a full update off the top of my head on Dennis Sutton, but it looks like Aller is going to be, at least he's getting closer to playing in this game. Speaking of games, Steve, a game we were both, I believe, watching last night, one that broke my heart that I know I can't avoid. Can I ask you a question?
Sure. I'm sitting here.
Did you play baseball as a kid?
I did.
You did play baseball as a kid.
I always tell everybody all the time, Peter King and I were on the same Little League team together.
So where'd you play? Were you more of a pitcher, first baseman?
Pitcher, first base, and outfield.
Okay. So let's say in Peter King, did he play first base, pitch? Do you want to know the two?
He just played first base.
He played first? Okay. Yeah. So let's say you're pitching. Peter King's on first. A ground ball is hit deep to first base, and Peter King gets it. As a pitcher, your first instinct as that ball is hit as a grounder. Do you run to first base?
Of course you do.
You run to first base and cover the base.
See, the issue is with what Cole didn't do last night is it's the first thing they do on spring training day one. And it's drummed in over and over and over again. I watched, like, for example, the Spikes. And by the way, congratulations to former Spikes. Tommy Edman and Tyler Glass now. They're going to get rings out of this.
Edman played incredible this playoffs. This postseason, he was awesome.
Yep. So but it's something that it's an automatic. This is not a communication issue. It's automatic. Okay? You're running to first. It's the first baseman to tell you, no, I got it.
Yeah. But it'll tell you when you're already pretty much at first base.
But you're almost there.
Say, peel off.
Right?
And Garrett Cole just didn't run to first.
On a night where I thought he pitched a gutsy game, but that inning, for example, you're going to see in the box score he pitched 7 innings. He actually pitched 8 innings last night because in the 5th inning he had to get 6 outs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Judge dropped a fly ball to start, which was awful.
It was awful.
He took his eye off.
It was awful because it was easy.
Yeah, it was to his glove. It was right to his hand. All he got to do was just
right. I mean, that's the problem. It wasn't like he was on the run and he dropped it, whatever. And, like, it's an error, but you can say, okay, I can, This was
a drop.
Okay, this is the Bob Prince can of corn play. Okay. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
All right. The Volpe play is a momentum play. It's the only play he has is at third base. He's not going to make a play anywhere else. but he makes a bad throw in the process. So they had to get 6 outs.
Yeah.
And because they needed to get 6 outs, they ended up scoring 5 runs.
Yeah. Cole had a great first 2 innings. If any of those are outs.
Cole, except for the 5th inning, he was great in the 6th and 7th.
Incredible. It was 5 unearned runs worth of terrible plays.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get to the 8th inning.
But can I make one
Go for it.
point? The Yankees have been notoriously mediocre as base runners for years and have been notoriously mediocre in the field for years. This is not an unusual. It was unusual that it happened all in one inning.
Yeah. Normally it's spaced out more so it doesn't pile up like this.
But, this is the 2 things that have been Achilles' heels for the Yankees over the years all came together in that inning.
And the worst part is outside of the Volpe play. Let's just take that out because that one you can at least say, okay, like momentum play. Terrible, bad throw, but
it's a momentum play. It's the right base to go to. So
he made the right choice. It was just a bad throw. You can say, okay, that's going to happen every so often. Whatever, you can live with that. The Judge one you can't live with because you cannot drop that fly ball, and you cannot live with Garrett Cole not running to first base because he should be sprinting over there.
Right.
Because if he gets there, he ends the inning, no runs scored. Immediately ends the inning, all the pressure's off, and then he has that great 6th and 7th. The Yankees are up 5. And all of a sudden, all the pressure is still on the Dodgers. Your Yankees hitters, you can kind of swing away. Instead, you go into the 8th inning, and then all of a sudden, it's 5-5.
Right.
And then
the Yankees retook the lead 6-5.
So you took the lead 6-5 with a Giancarlo Stanton sac fly. You feel good. You go into the 8th.
You get catcher's interference.
Which is just like, what in the world? And
he hit the glove.
He did. He hit the glove. It felt like it couldn't get worse for the Yankees, and then it somehow got worse. And I was watching my friend Oscar. We were on the phone last night watching this game together. He's in Denver. I'm here in State College. We're watching this game together, watching it, and I am just the entire time like, we're going to lose. All we need to do in the 9th inning is just get to the top of the order. Glaber's had a terrible game. Just get to Soto. Like, even if you have 1 runner on, 2 runners on, and 2 outs, get to Soto, and we'll make it work. Nope. Just bad across the board. Walker Buehler comes in and just shuts the door on the Yankees. Blake Treinen had an incredible 8th inning, I felt. He got out of jams. He pitched the lights out.
Yep.
Him and Walker Buehler shut the door on the Yankees at the end of the game. The Yankees shot themselves in the foot, the kneecap, and the shoulder and said, we're fine. We don't need to go to the hospital. And here we are. And I know.
But when you're in the position where you're down 3 games to 1,
you can't make those
You
mistakes.
have to be perfect.
You've got to be perfect. And if the Yankees played, if they just didn't have those errors, they would have played the perfect game. Judge looks better batting all of a sudden. He's back to being Aaron Judge, at least a little bit. He's got a home run, a strikeout, and 2 walks. Like, you can see he's finding the plate now all of a sudden.
Yeah, but he drops the ball.
And that happens, and everything else just... The Yankees capitulated at the worst possible time to do so. And I know.
Yeah. Look, Judge is a great regular season player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know he homered last night. He also got a double in the game last night.
Yeah.
So I'm well aware of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But when you drop the ball like that, that just is another indicator. Okay, that drop ball to me is the equivalent of the horrible throw that Barry Bonds makes to home plate on the Sid Bream play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. He's a Gold Glover. He's the greatest player, whatever. No, you can botch expectations at the plate, and that's obvious. Mm-hmm. But you can also botch expectations in the field. Mm-hmm. Right? Bonds, his throw to home plate, and look, I know, believe me, I know Sid. I've talked to Sid enough in my lifetime because he was the hitting coach here for the Spikes. Mm-hmm. Right? Sid's not supposed to score on that play. Cabrera singles to left field. Sid's not supposed to score. Okay?
Yeah.
And he throws the ball up the first base line. Mike LaValliere makes a great play, grab it and jump to at least make it close. But that's got to be a play that at least you get it into the
realm,
neighborhood of the plate, and they're going to get him, right? And that's one of those. And this is after Andy Van Slyke told him to move over, and he wouldn't do it. Okay, because he's Barry Bonds. Well, Judge doesn't act like that. But in a game where he has a homer and a double, he drops the ball. Since the start of 2020, okay, this is not a small sample size.
Yeah.
He has done very little in the postseason to help his team win.
Yeah.
Very little. Even on a night where he homers and doubles, he has a hand in the loss.
He needed to have games 5, 6, and 7 be what Game 5 was if he was going to have a shot at least redeeming himself in the playoffs.
Well,
but
no,
of course he doesn't get it because...
Well, he doesn't... No, he doesn't redeem himself in Game 5 because he dropped the ball on an easy fly ball. You can't have that.
No.
You can't have that.
Nope.
And that's one of those things where you need your best players to be your best players. He hasn't been even remotely their best player for years in the postseason.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not one of those like, well, he had a tough postseason. He's had a tough postseason every postseason in 20, 21, 22, and in 24. They weren't in there in 23. I'm sorry, it's not a small sample size.
I know.
Right? So even on a night where, like, look at how he hit, because, I mean, the home run was a bomb. That double was a rocket.
Yeah.
But he dropped the ball that opened the door to a 5-run inning. Like, and in other words, and not on a play that defines routine.
Yeah.
It's like
I got nothing.
No, I'm not.
No, I know.
I'm not whacking the guy around here. I'm not doing that. Okay, right? Because in the regular season, he's phenomenal. He's feared. Everybody pitches him tough. I got it. But when you look at how he has performed,
it's been
on a night where he's finally at the plate, looks exactly like the Aaron Judge of July. He reverts to Aaron Judge of the postseason in the field.
Yeah.
And he made a great catch last night, too, where he slammed up against the wall. He made a great, like, oh, man, it's really his night. And then he does that. Then he does that. You're like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yep.
It's...
it hurts.
Look, but he's not the only one. Soto did nothing.
Soto did nothing.
Giancarlo Stanton, I guess he homered last night early.
Giancarlo Stanton at least has held himself to a good enough standard all playoffs where at least you can say, like, whatever. Like... He's hit, 7 home runs this playoffs, which is just...
It's fine.
It's absurd.
That's fine.
And that you're cool with, but last night, Glaber goes 0 for 5, Wells is 0 for 4, Rizzo's 0 for 4. Like, it just... It pains me because...
Well, this is what you get last night, okay?
Yeah.
The Yankees were a mixture last night throughout the lineup. Of, for the most part, good, all right, and bad. Oh, no. So let's talk about Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres, okay? He's had a really good World Series, but last night when they needed him, he's 0 for 5. Okay. Volpe got on base a couple times.
Double, single.
Right? Double, single, the whole thing up, but who made an error? In the pivotal 5th inning? Volpe. Okay. Jazz Chisholm, who plays mad all the time. 1 for 4. All right. Juan Soto. Okay. 1 for 2 last night. Walked 3 times. That's what he does. Great eye at the plate. But in right field, he's just Judge, homer, double, awesome. Knocked in 2, awesome. Great catch against the wall. Dropped the ball. Okay. Rizzo, 0 for 4. I know he's playing with 2 broken fingers. Wells, not only 0 for 4, but catcher's interference. Okay? Cole, phenomenal. 6 2/3. No earned runs. Doesn't cover first base.
Yeah.
See, there's a lot of good in here.
But there's just also bad.
But each person that did good did something good. also did something that was inexplicable.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm talking about inexplicable.
Yeah.
Not covering first base in October is inexplicable. You've been doing it since the first day of training camp.
You've been doing
spring
it for
training.
How old is Cole? He's 30s.
Right. But
he's been doing it for decades.
First day of spring training didn't cover. Judge, you've been catching fly balls forever. Not a difficult play at all. Right? Dropped it. Volpe, tough play.
Yeah,
right.
Happens.
Tough
You can
play.
live
That
with
happens.
it.
That's just one of those. Hey, right?
Hold your hands up.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, okay, but like it's all inexplicable stuff. Where you sit back and say, okay, this guy did something great. This guy did something great, and all of a sudden you realize, like, no, it's like there's too much bad to go with the good. And it was guys like, hey, you did something. Hey, he looks like the guy. Oh, he dropped the ball.
And
you're up 5-0 at home.
Yeah.
And again,
they had all the momentum.
what have I said 1,000 times? Okay? What really got me was the Phillies thing 2 years ago. We're the most intimidating crowd in baseball. Like, hey, what intimidate? What, you're loud? I love the fact you're loud, enthusiastic, into it. Like the joy, the passion. I love the whole thing. But you're not affecting the players.
Out of the last 25 World Series, how many teams have won the World Series at home out of 25?
Well, all I know is the Red Sox have won 4 and they only won 1 at Fenway Park.
7 of the 25 of the last 25 World Series winners have won at home.
I mean, look at Houston and Washington. Nobody won a single home game the entire 7-game series. Washington won all 4 in Houston.
Which is crazy.
Houston won all 4 in Washington.
Which is one of the most absurd things
ever.
Yeah.
So, like, we're the most intimidating crowd. I'm sitting there like going, are you people whacked? You're out of your mind.
Crazy.
Right? Just because, look, you're loud. I love that. Okay? I think the game's more fun when the game's in Philadelphia because it comes through the TV set and it's awesome. The atmosphere, the passion, everything that goes into it. Love it. But you're not affecting the game. Where are you affecting the game? Right? Now, Saturday, loud, passion, the whole thing. You're affecting the game because football's different because the offense has to call signals.
It's a different thing.
It's completely different because now you have an effect on what the opposing team is trying to do offensively. That's different. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, baseball, I mean, unless they can't hear the signals in the hat.
But in that case, a lot of pitchers will just call time and they'll have hand signals as a backup. They usually have options in case they need it.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
that's one of those things where the emotion's great and everybody gets juiced and jacked up and the whole thing. Harper hits a home run. Hoskins hits a home run. They go crazy. All right. But I said to somebody who was a big Phillies fan, I said, when Houston won the World Series, where did they do it? No, Philadelphia. I said, when Arizona got to the World Series, where did they do it? I said, boy, there must be some great teams to overcome all that intimidation.
Yeah.
Right. But I will never disparage the passion of the crowds. Just don't tell me you're intimidating.
Yes.
Okay? You're not intimidating, but you're passionate, and I love the passion of the Phillies crowds. Love the passion of any crowd that's into the game. And that's what Penn State needs on Saturday. Passion in that stadium at noon.
And now, speaking of Yankees, I guess before we get to the Soto question, before we get there, is
Soto's going to the highest bidder.
I know.
It's pretty simple.
He's got Boris. But before we get to the Soto, just conversation. As a Yankees fan, this hurt something fierce. And
I can understand because you haven't been there since 2009. You were a little kid when last time they won.
The last time they won, I was 9 years old.
I understand that.
I was one of the greatest 4 months of my life because the Yankees won and then the Saints won. And that was incredible. And this hurt. And I know You can't put last night's game on Boone, and I won't put last night's game on Boone because those are errors in the field by players. You can't put it on Boone. He has not been a good manager. It has been annoying for years. I don't get it. No Yankees fan gets it. Cashman's not a good GM. I don't get that. And that's just, I need to just put that out there for my brain to just let it out for a minute, because it's maddening that year after year, the Yankees make these ridiculous decisions, these players they trade for, they sign, that I'm like, why, who, what are you doing? If you are one of the highest payroll teams in the league, which they are, you look at them compared to the Dodgers roster-wise, Dodgers the best roster in baseball, and they're similar in terms of overall pay.
That's in part because Ohtani's taking less.
Yes. But even knock Ohtani out of there, they're still a better team the Yankees are.
I'm saying, but Ohtani's taking only $2 million a year right now.
I know.
We all know it's all it's backloaded.
But even if you get rid of Ohtani, heck, if you add Ohtani's salary in this year, 70, you add in 68 million, it's about the same as the Yankees is, give or take a couple mil.
Sure. No, the Dodgers, their payroll's higher, I think.
Yeah, the Dodgers payroll this year is 241, Yankees is 309. So you add in.
Oh, okay.
So
that's because of the Ohtani thing.
And Yamamoto is different.
Right.
But let's say you add in Ohtani's contract, Yamamoto, get rid of Yamamoto, for just take him out of the equation here. That roster is exponentially better than the Yankees. You're paying the same number for a worse team. Like Cole, great. Judge, great. Soto, incredible. But there are so many players I look at on the Yankees, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? I love Anthony Rizzo.
but
he is 34. He was playing with 2 broken fingers, and that shouldn't happen.
Right. But, I mean, look, Freeman's Freeman. Mm-hmm. Gavin Lux the injuries have set him back. He was a top prospect, no question about it. Top prospect, great player, and then got hurt, and he's really okay. Tommy Edmonds, look, as you know, I'm a big Tommy Edmonds guy, always have been, so I'll leave it at that. Max Muncy is good. Mm-hmm. He's good.
He's a good player.
Right? Not great, but he's good. Mm-hmm. Right. Teoscar Hernandez is one of those guys who elevated his game. Mm-hmm. He's playing a lot better, no question. Okay, Ohtani is Ohtani. You can argue he's the best, or at least in the argument of the best. Mookie Betts is one of the best.
Mm-hmm. He's top whatever number you want to put in baseball.
Right. Now you get to the catcher Smith. He's okay. All right. I mean, he's good.
But he's a good enough catcher.
He's good.
Yeah.
Where the Dodgers overcame everything is all the injuries they had to the pitching staff. No Tyler Glasnow, another former Spike who got a ring out of this. No Tyler Glasnow. Okay. May got hurt, out. I mean, you start going through the long list of guys they had out. That's why they had to do the bullpen game in Game 4. They literally didn't have a starter.
They don't have the bodies. But they did it. They got the job done at the end of the day. I mean, they traded for Flaherty. He's great. He got rocked.
Flaherty. Well, the Yankees had Flaherty. They had him, and he flunked the physical.
Yeah.
I'd have waited and make him take the physical again.
Yeah. But even so, he's a good pitcher. Miguel Rojas, good. Kevin Kiermaier, good. Blake Treinen, rocked it.
Really good.
Really good.
Really good.
Heck, you include Walker Buehler in there, who's, by the way, a free agent, which is going to be real interesting because he might get paid by somebody, but he's had injury issues, so it's kind of it's going to happen here. Joe Kelly's good. You go on the list, Hudson announced he's retiring. He's good. Like, they have so much everywhere, across the board.
Well, I wouldn't make too much about they have so much everywhere. I think that they had, when you win, okay, what you will notice with certain members of your pitching staff, they've had either one of their top or second best seasons. There are certain guys in that, okay? And it's up, and everybody is looking for, I don't care if you're the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, whomever, you're looking to, like, wow, look what we got here. He's having a career year. And it's always those guys that pitch in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning where you're hoping that like three of them are having one of the top 2 years of their career, maybe not their best year, but their second best year, something. And that's normally you'll find is the pattern with most of the teams that have championships. Boy, they got a lot out of him. Okay, you got a lot out of him. Let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, I mean, again, you have. I mean, like that's that roll of the dice where you're hoping in the roll of the dice that you end up with something that helps carry you through a season. Then when the season's over, you have a lot of questions. Is he capable of doing that again?
Yeah. For the Yankees, Luke Weaver played really well.
Okay, now Weaver's going to be one of those guys. I'd have questions. I don't know.
No, I agree. Him, what's the deal with going forward?
Clay Holmes.
Really know. Clay Holmes. He had a good year, but again, what's the deal going forward? Clark Schmidt is a starter, but like, can he sustain it? Like, just you go over every single person, you're like, I don't know what the deal is with these guys. I don't know what the deal is with the team. I don't know what it's going to look like. None of it. We have questions everywhere. And now the big one, which this morning has been talked about ad nauseum, I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up, is Soto, who was asked if he wanted to sign for the Mets. He then said, I'm open to signing to any team. Doors open for everybody. Because, spoiler, as you said, he's going to get the second highest paid contract of all time in baseball.
Look, that's exactly. Look,
he's probably going to crack what's Ohtani's average annual value? Off the top of your head, do you remember? I don't.
I thought it was $70 million or something like
70? That. It's his number's 700.
I think it's a 10 years, $700 million contract. I think it's $70 million a year, of which $68 million a year is deferred.
And there's a certain number you can put on the cap. I believe I think it's 50 is the number, like the magic number they kind of look at as like that's the number. He's going to crack 50. He's going to crack 50 million a year, which is what it's going to be. He's 25 and he's one of the best hitters in baseball. And you could see it throughout the playoffs. He played really well all postseason hitting the baseball. Like he's done it all season long. There's a reason every single person wanted Juan Soto. There's a reason every single team is going to want Juan Soto. He's been in the league 7 years, and he's almost as old as I am. He is a year older than me.
Right.
He's been there since he was 18, and he's been doing this. He's already proven he can do it in the postseason because he did it with the Nationals. He did almost everything he needed to.
Well, you know what?
Postseason.
You know what? What's interesting with San Diego? This is what they have to think about.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't.
So just because he's going to go someplace doesn't mean it's the perfect fit. Because San Diego looked like it was the perfect fit, and it wasn't.
No.
And
I
thought that
you look at the star power they had, and they threw it away.
Yeah.
But you look at this Yankees team now, all of a sudden, you have question marks. Rizzo's technically, he's a team option. So are they going to bring him back or not? I wouldn't. He is not Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs. He's just not. That's the truth of it.
Well, I'll say this about Rizzo. Let's get back to the Yankees' defensive problems.
Yeah.
Okay. A quality first baseman changes all that.
Oh, yeah.
When the Yankees won in the 90s, Tino Martinez not only could hit, but his defensive prowess really helped. When they won in 2009, Mark Teixeira.
Oh, my God.
Right? Because the reality is, and it's like anytime you say anything that appears to be somewhat disparaging about Derek Jeter, everybody gets all bent out of shape. But look, let's be real here. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I'm not going to play the game of pretend here. Robinson Cano was not a good second baseman defensively. Alex Rodriguez was functional to a little bit better at third base. And Derek Jeter became a good but not great shortstop. Okay? He became a good but not great shortstop. The errors that the Yankees made in the infield before they got to Teixeira, you'd be stunned. And the number of errors went down dramatically because Teixeira made the entire infield better, like Tino Martinez made the entire infield better. That's the debate I would have about Rizzo.
Does he help enough?
Okay. because when he wasn't in there, they did win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had the best record in the American League.
Yeah.
But do you now? I mean, to me, that's the conversation. Is not just the bat. Is his glove valuable enough to bring him back?
So you've got the question mark about him. Someone who's in the Yankees for at least the next 2 years contractually is DJ LeMahieu. He's had injury issues across the board.
Had a lousy year.
It's been a downhill slope since he signed his 6-year, $90 million contract. It's been bad.
Really struggled.
Then you go down
after having, by the way, a very good career.
Oh, it was incredible. He was great, and then all of a sudden,
with both Colorado
injuries.
and the Yankees, he won a batting title with the Rockies. He won one with the Yankees.
Yeah, and then he got injured, and all of a sudden, it's dropped, and that's fair. It happens. He's been injured across the board with a lot of things. Then you go down the list at other free agents the Yankees have: Gleyber Torres, free agent; Tommy Conley, free agent; Verdugo, free agent; Clay Holmes, free agent.
Okay, so let's go through each one. Torres is going to go someplace else, I think.
He's 27.
These are all gut feelings here. Canley is going to go someplace else. Clay Holmes is going to go someplace else. And Verdugo is definitely going someplace else.
Like, it's going to be tough. And then you go down the list of the guys who are in the arbitration period, which is just the whole wonkiness of what arbitration is. You've got Trent Grisham, Nestor Cortez, Trevino, Jazz Chisholm, just to name a few of them.
Chisholm, I think they'll try to keep.
They will try and keep him, but is it worth it?
I don't know. I mean,
that's it's a question. There are so many questions with this team. The only guy who I'm cool about, who's young on this team that is going to be here for the next few years, you've got Luis Heel, who's going to be in pre-arbitration. He's going to be here for a while.
Heel I would keep. Heel is a good player. I mean, he's a good pitcher.
I'm intrigued by Jake Cousins a little bit. Jason Dominguez, we don't know what the deal is. He's 21. He's still young. And the problem is baseball has been, I think, perception has been screwed up by Juan Soto because he was 18. He came in and all of a sudden has been hitting baseballs like no man's business. And now all of a sudden everyone thinks every 18 to 21-year-old should be Juan Soto.
Well, look at Holiday.
Yeah. Jackson Holiday's a great player, but people think he's going to be Matt Holliday off the bat. And spoiler, that's not how that works.
Right. I mean, look, it's a jump to the majors. There's no getting around it. There is a jump.
Yeah.
And, some guys, and look, sometimes you go down. Who is the hot shot for the Mariners? They Kelenic or whatever his name
Jared
is.
Kelenic.
You're right. He was going to be the whole, all right. Then he got up there and he was like, hey, you got to be kidding me. So.
And it's the Yankees have questions across the board, and a lot of it's going to be, what do you do with all these guys who are free agents? Luke Weaver has a team option. They're going to bring him back. I would be surprised if they don't. He's 30. You bring him back for another year. You see what happens with it. But it's just the rest of the team has to be filled out. You've got center field set. You have DH set. I think Stanton's earned himself another year without even considering of trading him. I think at this point, his playoffs were good. He hit the Yankees.
He's baffling to me.
He's baffling, but he hit the Yankees into the World Series. Him and Soto. It's the truth of it. 7 home runs in the playoffs alone, that's absurd is the number it is. So he's kept himself there. You've got question marks at pitcher after Cole's good, fine.
Oh, Cole's
one of the best in baseball.
He's one of the top 5 starters in baseball. If you want to say he's number 1, you would not be. You wouldn't be off track. I mean, that would be your opinion, and I think that's And
then you've got the likes of other pitchers of Carlos Rodon, who had an okay year, not superb. Stroman, Nestor Cortez,
Nestor Cortez he
was the 5th guy in the Yankees rotation for a reason. It's pretty much where you're going to have him. It's 5th.
Yeah.
And then after that, you've got what's Jonathan Loaisaga going to look like in the bullpen? What do you do with everyone else that's coming through the rotation as a Yankee?
Nobody knows.
There's questions everywhere. And the big one, of course, is going to be Juan Soto, who's going to make $1 billion this summer. or at least $500 million.
See, this is where like people don't realize the team that is laying low that will shock them all because they've been saving their money. They'll be the Pirates.
Pirates.
Juan Soto playing for the Pirates.
Of course.
What?
Nothing. The big question mark team that everyone has talked about for years that always seems to just kind of be sniffing around somebody and ends up signing someone is, again, the question mark team of the Giants. They've managed to get themselves players over the years.
The Giants are interesting because the Giants have been bidding on everybody and not getting anybody.
Yeah. They've been bidding on everyone. Apparently, the Rays also have been bidding on everybody, haven't gotten anybody. So it's like they got Blake Snell, the Giants, but of course Snell's gone.
And to be honest with you, San Francisco has been considered one of the truly beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah.
Until lately. And some people are wondering if the current state of San Francisco has played a role in players not wanting to go there.
Yeah.
There's also this issue. Again, I'm not here to be political. This has nothing to do with it. I'm talking about like reality here. I think it's tough for athletes to maybe sign with California teams because the tax
is high.
The tax part of it is so oppressive.
There's a reason players love going to, what is it, Texas, Florida?
Florida, yeah.
There's a reason players...
No state income tax.
Like, let's just talk about the Rangers for a second. They, of course, win the World Series, then all of a sudden go to, I don't believe in the playoffs. I don't think they made the playoffs.
They weren't even close. They weren't even over 500 this year. But again, it was like, well, no, that's a political thing. No, it's not a political thing. It's a factual thing.
Yeah.
Where you sit there and say, okay, all right. I mean, why do you think, like, for example, I'll give you one. Why do you think so many people in Boston live in New Hampshire? Dave O'Brien, I'm talking to Dave O'Brien, who does the Red Sox games play-by-play. Dave lives in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Why? It's no state income tax. Okay? It's like sometimes decisions like that are made. Why does there are two reasons why it seems like every professional golfer out there lives in Florida. One is, okay, you can play golf anytime you want. It's beautiful down there. And number two, let's face it, you end up not having to pay state income tax.
Yep.
And it's a big thing.
It is.
No. That's just a fact.
It is. Now baseball's in the weird period where we wait for the winter meetings, wait for free agency. Of course, everything in baseball is different free agency wise than it is amongst other sports, because a lot of the time in other sports.
Right. I only brought it up because you brought up San Francisco.
I know.
The Giants have had that issue of signing guys. And I think there's just a couple of reasons for it. I think San Francisco, in a lot of ways, has lost its luster. And number two, like, you're starting to look around at, you have financial people around you saying, this is how much money you're going to lose by playing there.
Yeah. Why not go to the Rangers? That's people's thought right now. But speaking
of
the Astros. But speaking of free agency, there is a lot of intrigue this free agent period because there are players across the board. Of course, we've mentioned Soto. Baseball's the one sport that is a little bit different, where this year it is just, you got the gem of Soto, and then you have other guys there like the Corbin Burnses of the world, the Blake Snells, where like people are going to want them, but it's a different. They're going to be the same team. They're going to want Soto, or if they are, it's not going to matter one or the other. They're going to try and get both. So Soto's going to go. Then you have Corbin Burns, Blake Snell. Kikuchi is a free agent this season. Max Fried down there in Atlanta. You've got a lot of pitchers. Marcelo Zuna is probably going to return. You've got Anthony Santander, who played really well this season for the Orioles.
Yeah, he did.
Cody Bellinger could opt out.
He had a great year.
And you've got the likes of Bregman is a free agent. Eugenio Suarez is probably going to be back. So he may not be a free agent. Willie Adames is a free agent. Like, there are a lot of guys in the MLB who are going to be free agents this season. The likes of Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt. I know they're older, but you never know what's going to happen there. So it's going to be an interesting winter.
Yeah, the Cardinals are baffling. I mean, you got Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and you have nothing to show for it. And of course, Ollie's managing them, so it's like okay,
And the most interesting team in baseball to me, though, Steve, which I think is more than fair to say out loud, is the team up in Detroit. Because
they're good. They're good.
They're not just good. They have a pitching staff.
They have everybody under contract.
And they have everyone under contract. So they are probably the most interesting team to watch in baseball because they've got Javi Baez, their big contract, $25 million.
Yeah, but he's I'm sorry, he is it's interesting, most of those former Cubs. Let's talk about that for a second.
Chris Bryant.
Okay, Chris Bryant, big contract, Colorado, has done very little.
Yeah.
Javi Baez, big contract with Detroit, has done very little. Anthony Rizzo has been okay.
He was the last one to leave. He got traded at the end.
Right. That's. I mean, there's a long list of the former Cubs from that 2016 team that are okay, not great.
But if I am the Tigers right now, you're sitting there. Your payroll is $116 million. The big money earner is Javi Baez. Outside of that, I don't believe anyone is making above $10 million next season. The only player who's making 10 is Kenta Maeda. He's the only one above $5 million as of this moment. There's a lot of players in arbitration they got to deal with. Tarek Skubal, the likes of him, Akil Baddoo, Torkelson, all these guys are going into the arbitration-y period in baseball. But would it surprise anybody if they tried to go get someone? I wouldn't be shocked if they attempt to sign Soto. That wouldn't be out of their own possibility. Because if you're them, you're sitting there thinking, we get us one of the top hitters in baseball. Like, he's 25, fits in their time frame in terms of all their pitchers and all their players across the board.
Look, I could see the Mets making a gigantic. I mean, Cohen's got so much money.
It's going to end up coming down to Yankees, Mets, Giants. It just, who else offers? Do everyone's offers match up? So there's question marks there. But it's going to be a long off season, especially for the Yankees, where there's going to be questions about coaches, about players, about everybody pretty much. So we'll see exactly what goes on there. Speaking of interesting players, Joel Embiid has still not made his debut for the Sixers. They were fined, I believe, $100,000, or he was fined $100,000 for throwing a towel while someone was taking a free throw. They were investigated for all the PPP stuff because he was meant to play. Just there's a lot going on there, and I don't
look. Here's the issue with Embiid. He played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Played.
Yeah.
And he can't play now. Really.
Oy vey.
But I mean,
no,
that's the deal.
The other interesting story, at least in the NBA, in terms of what's going on, because I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up.
Well, I will say this: Howard Eskin, who gets a lot of like backlash from people along the way, did say to Nick Nurse, the head coach, he asked him, "Don't you guys owe it to the paying public?" How dare he think of the paying public?
How dare he? The paying public in Cleveland last night got to watch hometown kid Bronny James score his first points. He is now promptly going down to the G League. It was kind of rumored this is the path they were going to take because if you're them, they get the moment with LeBron, he gets to play in the first game, then all of a sudden 4 games in, they play against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the place he grew up. You get that one in, the Cleveland crowd cheered him on, he got a big standing ovation when he scored, all this stuff, and then send him to the G League. He stays there because, spoiler, he's a 55th overall pick for a reason. He is not an NBA rotation player right now. So he's going to be in the G League, and that's where he's going to remain for the season. He might come up if they have injury issues, but that's probably it for the Bronny show for now, which is I'm more than comfortable saying.
Look, all right, I'm glad Bronny James got to play on the same floor with his dad.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that's really neat. It's a great story. It's great for the father. It's great for the son. and you're talking about a 15-man NBA roster, does it really hurt that he's on the roster?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that he's on the roster. That's fine. That doesn't matter. This is the issue I have with the Bronny James thing. Not that he did that, okay? Hey, not that he scored his first basket, but that it's a headline he made his first basket. I've got a big problem with that.
I agree.
And the big problem I have with that is simple. Other guys made their first basket too, so what?
Yeah.
I'm happy for them, their first basket. They make a big deal when Jalen Pickett made his first basket last year. Seth Lundy. I mean, when Lamar Stevens made his first basket, they make a big deal out of it. They make a big deal out of it when Tim Frazier made his first. I mean, that's the issue I have with the coverage of him. He's covered in such a way where he's like this superstar. And it's not worthy of a headline that he scored.
Nope.
At all. You look at ESPN.com.
It's number 2.
It's a headline. Okay. It's my problem is the coverage of him. It's not the young man.
Yeah. He has not done anything.
It's not the dad. It's not the young man. It's not the organization. None of that. I'm happy he scored. I'm thrilled that he played with his dad. That's great. What bothers me is the coverage of it. Right? Now, when he goes out there with his dad, that is a headline. A father and a son together. I mean, we've talked about that when the Griffeys did that. We talked about that when others along the way have done that. Like, wow. And that was a wow moment. Father and son on the same NBA floor. Boy, how hard is that to do?
Yeah.
Right? How hard is that? You know, because LeBron had to keep playing to get there. Bronny at least was drafted and made the team. Okay, so it's hard to do. Yeah. So it's a special moment. But then you look at, he makes his first basket last night. Like, what the heck are you talking about here? Like, he's not.
I know.
Okay, hold on. I got Paul Keel's just phoned me. He wants to know how to pronounce Perbula. Oh boy, I'll call him back. But that's what bothers me. It's the coverage of him that makes no sense. I mean, is it? I found it like my first thought was, so what? Yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm not like, oh, that's disgusting. Absolutely not. I'm happy for him, but it's not a headline. There's a lot of people that scored their first NBA basket this week.
Yeah,
he's one of them.
I will say this in favor of the Lakers here, which is they and JJ Redick and co. have taken the best approach to this, which is because they understood the Lakers are this. That was they're 5 games into their season. They knew that was the 5th game, was the Cleveland game. Yeah. You get through that game, you play LeBron and Bronny at some point, he gets his first points. Right. All of a sudden, story over for the season. You don't have to discuss it anymore. Because if Bronny hadn't played, let's say, by now, all of a sudden, what would be going on every day? ESPN would say, where's Bronny? When is he coming up? They got it out of the way early, got it done, which I give them credit for because that's like it's not going to drag the circus out, and it's going to mean there's headlines now about Bronny, but hypothetically, it's going to be way less than there would have been otherwise, and they can tune it out and just play actual basketball and possibly win games. Who knows at this point? But no, that's aside. In terms of the NBA standings so far, through a little over a week of the season, Celtics are 4-1. Cleveland is 5-0. They are the number 1 team right now in the NBA. In the East, in the West, you have Oklahoma City, who's 4-0, who has been just demolishing teams. Golden State is also 4-1, right alongside them. But Oklahoma City is the team to watch. They are, as advertised, incredible. They have 12 players who are all defensively sound, which if you were to tell Mike Rhodes, hey, coach, you have great players across the board, you have an MVP candidate, and you have, 12 players who are all good defensively. Would he take that?
Right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Look, it's so early, but again, you're right about what they did with Bronny. It's like, okay, they get them out there with Dad. You get to play in his hometown. Now we can treat him like a normal second-round pick. Fine. I just think he's overcovered.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault, and it's not his dad's fault. Okay? It is not Bronny's fault. It is not his dad's fault. It's not the Lakers' fault. It's not J.J. Redick's fault. It's ESPN's fault.
Yeah.
Right?
I
They
agree.
think that's worthy of clicks. I didn't click on it. I don't even know what he did. I just know somebody said he hit a jump shot. I said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right? But I find it, no offense, it's hey, when Peyton Pritchard hit his first one with the Celtics, I didn't sit there and go, hey, all right. Right? Now when he hit the three-pointer at the end of the first half in the finals, yeah.
May I say, by the way, for anyone who saw, you may have seen a clip of, it was the Celtics versus the Bucks. Celtics, of course, won the game. At the end of the third quarter, the Celtics were setting a play up. Peyton Pritchard's in. Doc Rivers, on camera, you could see him say, don't let Pritchard get anywhere near half court.
Yeah.
What does he do? Gets to the same spot on the court he has like 13 times now in 2 years and nailed a buzzer beater with that same angle, because apparently that's where he loves getting to, is your shoulder on the line, fading slightly, and it always goes in. And how, as an NBA player, if you're Giannis or Dame, you're on that court, you say, I'm just not going to let you get anywhere near that corner, because that's where he's best at. That's like saying, you know what?
Do you think these guys listen? They don't.
It's psychotic.
But do you think these guys listen?
No.
It's game 5 out of 81 or 82. Game 5 out of 82. No, whatever. Right? That's one of the big problems they've got in this league.
Yeah.
They don't play hard all 82 games.
You know what's interesting?
And everybody knows they're not playing hard for the 82 games. You got guys sitting out. Embiid doesn't even play the game yet. Played in the Olympics, can't play now. Like, okay, I'm not going to do back-to-backs. Oh, you're not going to do back-to-backs? Really? Okay, great. Yep, they gave him the max contract.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. I would be intrigued by this. I'm intrigued by how you're going to feel about this. I believe as of this moment, the Celtics are averaging like 50 some odd threes they're taking a game. They're making about 20-ish. So they're averaging like 42% from three. I want you to tell me, how many threes do you think they're giving up every game?
Like the other team scoring?
Other teams shooting.
How many are they taking against the Celtics?
How many are taking against the Celtics?
I would say 28.
Give or take. Give or take a few. It's like 24. The Celtics are shooting like 30 some odd more threes. They're coming into a game with a 35-point just buffer, purely in 3-point numbers.
I know. That's the analytics of it.
I know.
The analytics of it is quite simple. It's the point value of the shot.
And
so I'll do the quick numbers for you. Okay.
yeah,
18 shots. Let's use 18 shots as a baseline. If I take 18 twos and I make 9, 50%, I get how many?
18.
If I take 18 threes and make 6, 33%, how many points do I have?
18.
So 33% of threes is equivalent to 50% of twos.
Yeah. And
Okay, that's if you want to equate in simple terms what it means, that's what it means.
And the Celtics are sitting here with pretty much every player who plays for them. No, they don't have Porzingis right now, but if he's back, let's say Luke Cornett doesn't play.
You don't have to play Porzingis until the second half of the year.
But my point is, every player bar Luke Cornett is can shoot the three ball to a pretty high level.
Right.
Which, for a team that's already better than most teams, the fact that is where they're at, like there is a reason they won the championship last season. There's a reason they're expected to go back to back, because mathematically you're down 30 points a game. That math doesn't add up.
They need to have bad shooting nights for you to win.
They need to
Which is capable. I mean, let's face
Houston Rockets went 0 for 27.
Right. I mean, so it's like everybody thinks it's automatic. You hit that shot. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no.
You get a bad shooting night at the wrong time, it can mean a lot, but it's crazy that they're plus 35 point-wise per game. So, something to note. And tomorrow, of course, is going to be a very fun day because it's going to be November, and it's going to be also one day prior to Penn State, Ohio State.
Oh, that game's this weekend.
And also, yeah, I think so. I've heard about it. Ohio something or other. And then also, by the way, next week, we'll talk about on today, and then on Monday, something else is back. You're a busy
Basketball.
man.
I already got the game prepped. Binghamton played Queens College last night, so I put together everything I needed on them.
But what we're saying is, on Monday, I
mean, everybody thinks I'm not like, I'm only doing one thing.
But I'm just saying, this means that on Monday, I'll be in the same city as Dick Girardi.
Well, to quote him, gone.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on